Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. We're just setting up for today's event. As you enter the Zoom room, do us a favor, type in exactly where you're watching this from. We're in about 69 countries around the world, and we love seeing people from all over the place. Now, we're going to play a quick 60-second video. That's your cue if you have anyone logging in today to make sure that they're online. So once this finishes, we will get the event started. So bear with us for just a minute. Welcome online, ladies and gentlemen. We're just setting up for today. If you are online and you do not speak fluent English, that's okay. If you're here in the Zoom room, we do have closed captions. For those people who don't speak the language, have a quick listen to this.
Untuk mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia, silakan klik caption di panel laptop atau handphone Anda semua.
Para poder obtener la traducción en español, es necesario hacer clic en el menú de Zoom y elegir la opción Subtítulos en español.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，请按屏幕底下的 CC 按钮，选择中文。此功能仅适用于直播。
Bonjour, bienvenue à cet événement Newme. Vous pouvez activer les sous-titres dans votre langue en cliquant sur Sous-titres au bas de l'écran. Veuillez noter que cette option fonctionne uniquement dans la salle Zoom en direct. Merci et bonne écoute.
大家好，如果你想看字幕，請按屏幕底下嘅 CC 按鈕選擇中文。呢個功能淨係適用於直播。
Fantastic. Love all the different languages and accents around the world. With that in mind, more and more people are logging into the Zoom room right now. Some people are watching us live on YouTube. Do us a favor, type in exactly where you're watching us from around the world in the chat. And please welcome your MC for today, Ronan Brown, who happens to be one of our newest diamonds and happens to be the person who is heading up the explosive growth going on in Israel. So over to you, Ronan.
Thank you, Mike, for the nice word you're telling them. And it's a pleasure for me to be the MC for tonight. Something up on my screen. Let's see who is here from where people are logging in. I see people from, wow, all around the world, from Australia, New Zealand. I see people from the United States different. I see even one person from Israel. It's interesting. It's 3 a.m. there right now. So anyway, it's my pleasure to be the MC for tonight's event. And it's pleasure to introduce to you our founder, Stephen K. Scott. And if for those who don't know, Stephen, for the last 45 years, was researching and acquiring breakthrough products and market them on television. I remember when I came to the United States 40 years ago, I saw Richard Simmons with Delamil, where there is a will, there is an A. And of course, the longest running infomercial in the world, which is Total Gym with Chuck Norris and Christy Brinkley. And I do have a machine of this machine in my house. Steve and I met when he was in the pioneering stages of glutathione research. I first heard about glutathione about 16 years ago. So I came to Steve to hear what he had. And oh boy, it changed my life. You know, we are going to hear today from Steve himself why he considered this the biggest breakthrough in his lifetime. Now, I've been in the health, natural health field for about 30 years, and I totally understand this is the greatest breakthrough in technology, and it's going to change how people look at natural health. and help me to introduce Steve. Steve, please take it away.
Thank you very much. And welcome to everybody. Today's a good day. I hope it's a good day for you guys. I keep getting good news, and it's just it shouldn't amaze me after I've been working on our current technology since 2017, and I've seen so many things in the first year even that nothing should surprise me when I hear testimonies and I see photographs, but I am constantly amazed. Ronan just showed me a before and after, and I don't know if you can show it or not, Ronan, but it's a good before and after if you can make it come up on the screen. You can't do it. Okay.
No.
So we won't even try. Anyway, we got lots of before and afters to show, but this person had a problem since her youth. And I mean to tell you, it's gone. It's gone. And with her skin. I think I should start with why I'm here. I'm here because in 2006, I met a doctor from the Mayo Clinic. He taught at the Mayo Clinic. He wasn't a resident with the Mayo. And he was a brilliant researcher and clinician. He, as well as a medical doctor, he had a clinic in Florida, and he is the one who introduced me to the word glutathione. Now, I never believed in supplements, ever. And I still don't believe in a lot of them because all they do is turn light yellow urine into bright yellow urine. Maybe they do something else, but a lot of them that my wife gave me a multivitamin this morning, and sure enough, light yellow became bright yellow. And so I never gave any credence, but this doctor had clinical studies that were amazing. And I'd been introduced to him by an investment banker who said he's going to introduce you to the biggest breakthrough of your lifetime. Well, at the time he introduced me, it was the biggest breakthrough. It was because it was on glutathione, and it was an approach to increase the upregulation into the cells of one of the precursing amino acids that make up glutathione, L-cysteine. And we bought that patent, and I launched a company. Later, I bought patents, or my company did, patents from University of Minnesota, and some remarkable breakthrough technology on, once again, upregulating one of the rate limiting amino acid that is 1/3 of glutathione, which is L-cysteine. And all those products were good, and they all accomplished wonderful results. We saw things all over the world. But the problem is that they do take a long time. You don't experience them or feel them. And consequently, it's hard to people. Plus, they were really highly priced, very high priced. And because the company itself didn't manufacture, they paid a contract manufacturer to manufacture them. And he's got to mark them up, and they've got to mark them up, and so on. And so both technologies were really good, really valuable, really did some wonderful things. That's how I met Michael. That's how I met Ronan. That's how I met Phoebe. That's how I met Rhonda Dasher and her sister and so many other people, because the product did work. But I was talking with a nanoscientist clear back in 2016, and I had met this guy in 2009. And he, in 2016, said, what if we could get the particle size so tiny that it would absorb right into the bloodstream through the mucous membranes? And then I started to do that to go back, but it looks like it's all one action, but it's not. It would absorb in the mucosa right into the bloodstream and be delivered within minutes. And we would do it not only with L-cysteine, but we could do it with glutathione at the same time. Well, he's not a scientist. He knows nano, but he doesn't know glutathione. By this time, I had years of mentoring, being mentored by some very brilliant men in the area of glutathione enhancement. And so I said, if you do that, if we could do that, then we could change the world. We could change human performance. We could improve immune systems. We could improve recovery from all sorts of things, including athletic function. And so we started working on it, and we would do test batches, and I would send them to a clinic in Florida for testing. And we finally got something that I really thought, okay, we've hit the mark. We have a product that's going to change the world. And I thought the first place to test it for me is athletes, world-class athletes. Why? A professional athlete or a world-class athlete has what we call a stable baseline. Oh, somebody's coming in and I'm hearing noise. What the heck? Huh?
This just turned on.
Oh, okay. Now I see my daughter in the background, but I don't see you, Holly. I just saw your head for a minute. I all of a sudden started hearing what sounded like radio noise. Anyway, a stable baseline, you and I, very few people on this call would have a stable baseline. Unless you're working out every day or at least every other day, then you hit a point where your baseline is stable. You know, on any given day, you can do between 52 and 54 push-ups. One day it might be 52, one day it might be 54, but it's not going to be higher than 54 and it's not going to be less than 52. That's a stable baseline. If you're a runner, you know you're going to run a mile in X number of minutes and seconds, and there'll be a little variation, but if you're a world class, there's not going to be more than a couple seconds in variation. That's a stable baseline. So you always want to test with athletes that have a stable baseline because it's really difficult to move a baseline that's already at its max performance. And with me, I have no such thing as a max performance. One day it might be 1 push-up, and another day it might be 5, and the next day it might be 10, and the next day it might be 2. There's no stability in that. So I wouldn't be a good test case. Well, I took one athlete who had the same workout every day for 10 years. And it was an endurance athlete, and he would run for 1 hour on a treadmill, stable, 25-degree incline. And then he would jump off the treadmill and get on a rowing machine, and he would intensively row for another hour. And so it was Memorial Day of 2018, and I had product in my car, and somebody said, hey, you ought to let him try your product because he's really, really a good athlete. So I went out to the car, gave him some, told him how to use it. Well, that night at 10 o'clock, he called me. And he said, Steve, this is the greatest product ever introduced to an athlete. And he told me what had happened. Well, we met for lunch the next day, and he said, it's better than I thought. And I said, why is it better than you thought? He says, because normally when I wake up after that workout in the morning, he says, I have to use a roller on my legs for about 10 or 15 minutes. Then I have to stretch for at least 20 minutes. And then I do about 30 minutes of yoga. And then I can go through the day, but usually I'm so sore and so stiff from that workout that I can't even move without that. He said, this morning I woke up, there was no soreness, no stiffness. And he said, that has never happened in 10 years. This is unbelievable. So that was the first athlete I gave it to. Well, I have another friend, and we're going to look at this in a second. And this guy had been the strength and conditioning coach for one of the top NFL teams in the nation. In fact, the next year they won the Super Bowl right after he left. And, brilliant strength and conditioning coach. They say he's one of the top 5 strength and conditioning coaches of all time. That's pretty high. And those are the write-ups on him. Well, he's also been an amateur weightlifter most of his life, starting at the age of 14. And as an amateur, if he wins a meet, if he podiums, if he's in the top 3, he is drug tested because those marks stay. And it's very important that they stay, especially if you win. Well, he won a lot. And in 2008, at the age of 49, he set the world record in the bench press. And there he is. He's the big guy in the middle. And he benched in 2008, 804 pounds, a world record. And of course, he was drug tested. And then I called him in 2018, and now we can go to the next slide. And I called him in 2018 when he was 59. And I said, "How you doing, Bill?" He said, "Not good." I said, "What's wrong?" He says, "Well, my job at Liberty is good," but he said, "My weightlifting's in the toilet." He said, I mean, I'm quoting him exactly as he said it. He said, "My last lift was only about 715 pounds. And he says, which is good, but I said, "Yeah, it sounds like a lot of weight." And he said, "Well, it's a world record for a 59-year-old, but I don't get to compete with the elite guys anymore." And he said, "I used to lift heavy 4 times to 5 times a week. Now I can only lift heavy once a week." And he said, "My recovery is so slow. That's all I can do." And he says, "So it's really hard to watch my performance go down every year." And it's been going down every year for 10 years. And he said, then on top of that, a lifetime of weightlifting has created tremendous amounts of inflammation at my age. So I hurt all day. I go to bed hurting. I wake up hurting. I don't sleep well because I go to bed hurting. And he said, "So that's kind of my life." And he said, then I come to work, and when there's certain seasons where I'm working 16 to 18 hours a day with the athletes. I have 60 athletes to work out every day. And he said, it's just grueling. Well, I said, "Bill, things might be about to change." I told him about our product. I sent it to him, and he started swishing in June of 2018. And look what happened. Let's go to the next slide. This is his performance after he started swishing. Okay, at the age of 60, his lift went from 725 at 59 to 1,050 pounds at 60. His retirement meet was when he was 62. That was in 2022. And his final lift of his career, he set a new world record, 1,129.8 pounds. That's 40% more weight than he bench pressed when he was in his prime at the age of 49 in 2008. So 13 years later, and he lifts 40% more weight. Now, anybody will tell you that looks impossible. People ask me, how could he do it? And now you can come back to me. He did it real simply by reducing oxidative stress. Nothing mitigates oxidative stress like glutathione. Oxidative stress does 2 terrible things. It accelerates the aging of every cell in your body, your brain cells, your heart cells, your eye cells, your ear cells, your skin cells, your liver cells, your kidney cells. They all age at a more rapid rate due to oxidative stress. The other terrible thing that oxidative stress does is it introduces inflammation. It increases inflammation in the cell, and you have 50 trillion cells. Well, that inflammation obstructs the activity of the cell and the performance of the cell. I'll show you a picture. I've got it right here. I know you have it, but in case you can't find it quickly, Michael, I can find it real quickly. It's right at the bottom of all of my pictures. There it is. So this is what your cells look like. That's one cell. Now that's more complex than the most complex machine ever built. It has more systems, systems that work together in sync, and it happens in a very small. The average cell is only 100 nanometers in diameter. So how big is 100 nanometers? Well, one strand of your hair is 80,000 nanometers thick. One strand of hair, 80,000 nanometers. A piece of typing paper is 100,000 nanometers thick. Well, your cell is only on average 100 nanometers. So it's incredibly small. But all of that inner working is crazy. And it's all doing according to programming by the DNA for that cell and that tissue and that organ. I mean, we are, David said in the Psalms, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That's the understatement of the century. And so all of that has to work together. Unfortunately, our cells are under constant attack. Mike, let's go to the stadium picture. Mike's got to search. These aren't in order, so Michael has to search these out. But I love showing pictures instead of giving facts. Okay, this is the Chicago Bulls arena. There are 20,000 people in that arena. Every day, every cell in your body is attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals. And they're all scavengers. They want to steal electrons from the cell. They want to damage the DNA, which they do. They have the power to do that. But when they steal an electron, it creates oxidative stress that in turn accelerates the aging of the cell and creates inflammation in the cell. Now, that's one day's activity for one cell. Imagine you were a cell and you were on that basketball floor and the announcer says, okay, everybody that lands a blow to that guy's head gets $1 million. Well, 20,000 people would empty the stands and it would be you against 20,000 people. And well, that's what our cells go through every single day from the day we're born till the day we die. Now, let's go to the next picture. Watch this. This is 100,000 people there. So that would be like 100,000 free radicals. That's how many free radicals attack a cell every 5 days. That whole stadium against one cell. You thought you had no chance in the Chicago Bulls arena. Here, it's even worse. So, or you could look at that and say that's what every 5 cells in your body go through every day. You have 50 trillion cells. So that's lots of activity. What is a free radical? A free radical is a thief. It's a scavenger that wants to steal. It has to steal for its existence. For its survival, it has to steal an electron from the cell. And the way you counter that, the way the body mitigates that, the first thing the body does, every cell in the body looks for glutathione. Glutathione is manufactured in every cell. It's the most abundant molecule in our bodies. Every cell manufactures, but it declines as we age. It also declines locally whenever we're ill or have an injury or do an athletic event. So if you have asthma as a child, guess what? Your glutathione level is being depleted as your lungs work hard to circulate that oxygen, to get that air in and process the air. And if, on the other hand, you don't have asthma as a child, your lungs don't work as hard and they don't use up as much glutathione. So glutathione can be depleted locally in your body based on injuries, illnesses, other things, lack of sleep, overstress. All those things can create more free radicals. Most of the free radicals are created inside our cells just through the metabolic process. Every cell has little motors called mitochondria, and those motors manufacture their own fuel. Can you believe that? I mean, is God amazing? Mitochondria manufacture the very fuel they burn to have the energy to do what they're supposed to do. Now, a fat cell just kind of sits around and doesn't do a lot. It's only got 2 mitochondria. On the other hand, a heart cell has a lot of work to do and it never gets a break. It is pumping every minute, every moment of every day. And guess how many mitochondria the heart has? 2,500. Man has never made a machine that has 2,500 motors that all operate in sync. Man hasn't done that. It's too complicated, too complex, too many breakdowns. Are you kidding me? 2,500. That's every cell, billions of cells in your heart. It's amazing. Well, that process of manufacturing the adenosine triphosphate, which is the fuel, and then burning that fuel to create energy and motion, creates exhaust. Just like I remember as a kid, you get behind a bus, city bus, and everything's fine until the light turns green, and then they start to go, and all this black smoke used to come out. Now, this is in the 50s when I was a kid, and you just thought, whoa, what's going on there? Well, that's what happens in your cells, that exhaust. Well, God gave us an answer to that, and the answer is called antioxidants. That antioxidants donate one of their electrons. They have a free electron. They donate that electron to the cell or to the free radical. And when that donation takes place, it sequesters, that's a scientific term for captures, it sequesters the free radical and neutralizes it. Now, the first thing the cell looks for is glutathione. Why? Because glutathione is 1,000,000 times more powerful than all of the other antioxidants in your body and antioxidants you can take in combined. 1,000,000 times more powerful. Now, it also, here's what's really unique about glutathione, is after all other antioxidants make that donation of an electron, they're now waste in the cell. They have no purpose. They're trash, leftover trash. It's like a gun that's fired a bullet and now it's worthless, okay? Because it can't be reloaded. That's all antioxidants except glutathione. Glutathione reloads itself. It fires off a free electron, neutralizes a free radical, and quickly recycles itself, making another electron and firing that off. And not only does glutathione reload, recycle itself, it can recycle a vitamin C molecule up to 3 times and a vitamin E molecule up to 5 times. Now, without glutathione, they can't be recycled. In fact, if your glutathione levels are low, glutathione will not recycle vitamin C and E. So glutathione can make C and E 300% to 500% more effective if you have enough glutathione. If your glutathione levels are really low, it'll close the door to vitamin C. It won't allow it in. So most people don't go that low on their glutathione, but it's that important. Okay, so that's the antioxidant part of glutathione. That's one of 400 functions that glutathione performs. And if that weren't enough, what else? We'll go through them real quick and then we'll look at some pictures. Glutathione is the sole protector of your immune system. Your immune system protects you from bacterial and viral insults or attacks. But what protects the immune system? Glutathione. When you have low glutathione levels, your T cells and B cells reproduce slowly. Those are the assassins. Now, realize that any bacteria or virus that gets in your body isn't standing still. It's not waiting at a stop sign saying, okay, I'm waiting for an antioxidant. No, or some help from the immune system. No, it is reproducing. So bacteria and virus are reproducing. You want your T cells to reproduce as fast as possible, and that's dependent on your glutathione levels. Low glutathione levels, T cells reproduce slowly while the bacteria or virus is reproducing rapidly. Higher glutathione levels, it can catch up. There was an article in the May 2020 edition of the American Chemical Society Journal of Infectious Diseases, and it was authored, a study by a Russian scientist, but it was brilliant. It was peer-reviewed and published, and he basically showed that people with high glutathione levels didn't die from COVID. The title of the article was "Low Levels of Endogenous Glutathione as the cause of severe symptoms and death in COVID-19 patients." You can Google it. All you have to do is do in the search bar, type in low levels of endogenous glutathione as the cause of severe symptoms and death in COVID-19 patients. And you don't even have to be perfectly accurate. It'll come up if you get close to that. The abstract will come up, and then you got to dive deeper. You got to click on a couple things to bring up the full study, but it's a great study. So glutathione is critical to your immune response. What else? Well, Glutathione is the sole protector of your mitochondrial DNA. And I'm watching something. Is that so funny? Angela's iPhone, and there's a guy typing on it or a person typing on a computer or playing a piano or something. It's very funny picture. See, I've got ADD, so I'm real easily distracted, but that's okay. I'm just glad you're here, Angela. So we're talking, what were we talking about? Let's see, iPhone. What were we talking about? Immune system. Oh, mitochondrial DNA. It's the sole protector of the mitochondrial DNA. Why is that important? As long as the mitochondrial DNA stays intact, the cell can't mutate. For the cell to be at risk for mutation, the mitochondrial DNA has to be broken. What breaks it are two things. The chemical load in the cell is the primary thing that breaks it, because everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body that don't belong there. So that chemical load can break it. The other thing that can break it is some free radicals are so aggressive and so powerful that they can break the mitochondrial DNA. Consequently, when that happens, the cell is at risk for mutating and multiplying. We call it cancer. But that's what happens. Now, there's a guy named Dean Jones, who was a microbiologist at Emory University. Brilliant. I think he's authored over 100 peer-reviewed papers that have been published. And he said, if we want to prevent cancer, we must find ways to raise glutathione levels in the cell. And then he said, let me explain. Oh, there goes my doorbell. The price of working at home. But I'm not going to answer it. Okay, I just have to get my focus back. Okay, he said we must find ways to raise glutathione levels in the cell. Why? Because glutathione, this is what he said to this big symposium on cancer prevention to scientists. He said 95% of all cancers gain traction in the human body when the mitochondrial DNA is broken. What breaks the mitochondrial DNA is the chemical load in the cell. Glutathione is the detoxifier of the cell. It has this real sticky sulfhydryl molecule that attaches to the chemical and takes it out of the cell. He said, so as we raise glutathione levels, we lower the chemical load in the cell, thereby prolonging the integrity of the mitochondrial DNA. And problem is, it's really hard to raise glutathione levels. And that's what we do. But that was his comment. So glutathione is sole protector of the mitochondrial DNA. It is the detoxifier of the cell. Every liver cell has 1,000 times more glutathione than any other cell in the body. Why? Because the liver is a landfill. It's a toxic waste dump. It collects all the toxins from your blood and it stores it until it can get rid of them. Guess what it uses to get rid of the toxins? Glutathione. So glutathione is not, every liver cell has 1,000 times more glutathione than any other cell in the body because it uses the glutathione not just to detoxify the blood, but to detoxify itself, or we'd all die of liver disease in fairly short order. So that's glutathione. What else does it do? Well, I think we've hit all we need to do, but let's focus on the antioxidant side. The way antioxidants work, as I mentioned, they donate one of their electrons to the free radical. That captures the free radical. There is a spectrum of free radicals. You have hydrogen-based free radicals, oxygen-based free radicals, nitrogen-based free radicals. They all have different chemical compositions and different structures. And all antioxidants except glutathione are monofocused. So each can take out one type of antioxidant, but can't even touch the others. So vitamin C are free radical. Vitamin C can take out that free radical, but it leaves all these bad guys. Vitamin E takes out that one, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, catalase. But glutathione, unlike all of these, unlike all the other antioxidants, isn't monofocused. So it can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of the source structure or chemical composition. Today, we have free radicals that our parents and grandparents didn't have. For example, one of the most aggressive and egregious free radicals known to man right now is called peroxynitrite, not nitrate, nitrite. And it's manufactured in your body when those 5G microwaves come into your body and react with the nitrogen in the body. That produces peroxynitrite. Now, peroxynitrite is especially egregious because it lives 1 billion times longer than any oxygen-based free radical. And guess what? It attacks the DNA. Not only that, it lives long enough that it can actually go from one cell. It's the only one that I know of that can. It can go from one cell to another cell before it's sequestered and neutralized. The only thing that can neutralize peroxynitrite is glutathione. It's the only thing that can. Did you know cancer rates are on the rise, not just for older people, but there was a study recently in the UK, and it was very, very disturbing. Okay. It's very disturbing. It was for 104, it followed 104,000 younger people all the way up through age 35. And to the shock and horror of everybody, they said they're accelerating, they're aging at a much faster rate than their parents aged. They have accelerated aging out of control. They already have a 17% higher cancer rate than was the case even 10 years ago for the same age group, 17%. And of course, they blame it on oxidative stress. It's on being subject to all the things they're subject to today that we weren't subject to when we were kids. And but they have accelerated aging in the young people. And they say that within the next 10 years here in the United States, cancer will overtake heart disease as the #1 killer. The rates are just going through the roof. Thankfully, there's a lot of cancers that are survivable. It used to be a word that if you heard it, you knew somebody was going to die. And but there's more therapies to help people survive cancer. One of my dear friends just went through it on June 13th. She went through a surgery and it looks like she came out wonderfully well, which was a real concern. But anyway, glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. It is where it's the first line of defense. That's how it was described to me by one scientist. He said it's the first line of defense for any cell. And that's the first thing the cell looks for anytime there's any kind of an attack. And but in addition to that, what are a few positive things it does? Well, it makes it possible for oxygen to be transferred once it enters our lungs. It changes the electromagnetic charge on hemoglobin. Otherwise, hemoglobin couldn't transport oxygen. Another positive thing it does, it creates or it intervenes in the production of over 7,000 amino acids that your body produces, and not one of them could be produced without the intervention of glutathione. So that's what we have. Now, we can't show you all the ways it's going to help you. I always say that, let's see if I have a picture here. I do. I always say that glutathione is like an iceberg. I mean, our product. So you have all the stuff underneath the water level, and that's the stuff you don't feel. You don't feel it protecting your mitochondrial DNA. You don't feel it protecting your immune system. You don't feel it increasing your T cells in response to bacterial or viral insult. You don't feel it helping with oxygen transfer. You don't feel it helping with oxidative stress that creates inflammation. Those things you don't feel, but those are the most important things. We want our brain to age more slowly. We want our heart to age more slowly. Our muscles, our nerves, our skin. We want anti-aging, but you don't feel anti-aging, okay? But is it important? Of course it's important. Now, what do we feel? What's above the waterline? What we feel is if we use it before and after a workout, we're able to be much more productive in our workouts. We've had it. People have reported a very significant increase in muscle output if they swish 5 minutes with prior to a workout. And that's all you need. You don't need 2 hours. That's a waste of glutathione. You want it 5 minutes before the workout. And we feel it when we have a very stressful day. How you go through your day physically, emotionally, mentally, even hormonally is largely dependent on your glutathione. You have low glutathione levels, everything goes wrong. You lose your mental focus, you feel mentally and physically fatigued. Little problems are overwhelming because you don't have the energy to deal with them. On the other hand, you have higher glutathione levels, and it's a whole new ball game. I remember a professional athlete. He was he's in the Hall of Fame as a basketball player. He was on the United States Dream Team when we won the first Olympics, when they allowed professional basketball players to be Olympic ball players. And this particular ball player said, every day after a lifetime of basketball, when I would wake up, I would think, oh, crap. I have to get out of bed. Oh, man. How am I going to get through this day? And he got on one of my other glutathione products that wasn't near as effective in my mind as this is. And he said, it all changed. It was, wow, what am I going to do today? Let's get going. And he couldn't believe how everything changed as his glutathione levels were increased. Now, we compare other glutathione products that give you a precursor. They're good. They're good. They produce wonderful things. But one of our scientists said those are skateboards. Now, one guy went across the United States on a skateboard in 67 days. That's pretty fast for crossing 3,000 miles. On the other hand, a F-35 jet supersonic fighter that we have based just a few miles from my house, they can cross the United States in 2.5 hours. Given the choice, I'd rather go in an F-35 than on a skateboard, and then have a nice lunch or dinner in New York City after leaving Los Angeles 2.5 hours earlier. Oh yeah, there's a jet fighter compared to a skateboard. And what this one scientist said, he said, you're the jet fighter, your products are the jet fighters, everybody else's are the skateboards, and they're selling skateboards sometimes for twice as much as what you're selling the jet fighter for. And people say, well, how can that be? Well, we have a manufacturing process that's very economical. When you are dealing with smaller molecules, you require much less active ingredients. Somebody asked me today, how much glutathione do you have in a dose? And I said, it wouldn't matter to you because you'd measure it in milligrams and you'd say there's nothing there, it's just water. But that's not the importance of our type of process. You see, when you nanosize particles, you get a lot more surface area. And what counts isn't the weight of a particle, it's the surface area contact with the cell. You take a soccer ball, make it out of solid plastic, flatten it, and you get 1.3 square feet of surface area. You take that same soccer ball made out of plastic and break it into nanoparticles, 80 nanometers in diameter, and you have 102 acres of surface area, enough to cover 72 soccer fields. So we deal in surface areas. The average cell, like I mentioned, is 100 nanometers. The average pore in the cell that you want to target is only 10 nanometers. Well, you get 50 nanometer particles. Guess what? They never get in. We have seen things happen that nobody else in the world has seen. So right now we're going to spend 4 minutes and very quickly go through some before and afters. And what's important isn't just that we've got the world's best skincare product. It's that if we can anti-age skin like this, what are we doing with your heart, your liver, your brain, all the other cells that are getting the same glutathione the skin gets on our product? So this was a 57-year-old in 7 weeks spraying 5 times a day. Amazing. It looks like she had a facelift. In fact, my former formulator, because I had 5 different cosmetic companies, and said that, hey, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. Now, he became the head formulator of the company that created Botox, and he said, Botox can't even do that. I said, I know, John. And he said, so did she have a facelift? I know. She lives on a farm, works on a farm. I've known her 15 years. She doesn't lie to me. She loves God. And we love Sherry. That's Sherry Warner. She's a diamond in our NUMMI organization now. This was in 2018. Let's go to the next one. Those were my hands at the age of 71. I'll be 76 in a few weeks. And you can see the difference. Obviously, I sprayed the right hand. I didn't spray the left hand. Next. This is an 84-year-old in 4 weeks. I said, how often did you spray? She said, I had a strategy. I had spray bottles all over the house. Anytime I passed one, I sprayed. Look at her neck in both pictures. Look at her chin. Look at her mouth. I mean, plastic surgery can't even do that. 4 weeks. Next. And she was also swishing. Most of these people are swishing and spraying. Okay, this is another 80-plus-year-old, and she said, I've got the legs of an old lady. I accept that. Well, she sprayed it for 10 weeks, and look what happened. She ended up with the legs of a 50-year-old, not an 85-year-old. Okay, this is a younger woman, an esthetician. She said, where did all my pores go? Look how smooth my skin is. Look how it's opened up my eyes. It's tighter, brighter, smoother. She said, Steve, there's nothing in the world that can do this in 8 days except your product. I said, I know. Okay, this is a 60-year-old. We met her last year, and that was after 1 month. Looks like she had a facelift, but look at after 6 months. There she is. Okay, go to the next picture, and you'll see a side-by-side. Look at that in 6 months. Brighter, tighter, smoother, younger looking. Those are words you should write down because that's what we see. Next. 67-year-old, yes, we do work for men. Look at the difference. You can't even hardly see his eyes, and it's the same lighting. You can't see his eyes, and you say, well, but the skin looks so much brighter. That's what we do. Glutathione brightens the skin. And that's why this is going to go crazy in Asia and Latin America, because skin brightening is extremely important in those continents, as well as in Africa. And okay, that's a hydration problem, I think, because otherwise it wouldn't have changed that much in 10 days. But we've nanosized hyaluronic acid, and that's helps with moisture. Okay, there you see it's evened out her skin tone. Makeup can't even make it look that good. And yet that's was her result after 10 days. Next. She's an 83-year-old in 3 weeks when we were first testing the product. She's Sherry, the very first before and after you saw, her mother. And she sprayed her face 5 times a day. And that was after the first 3 weeks. Next. Okay, here's a woman that was a smoker. Look at her neck. Look at her mouth. And you can't fix a neck like that. You can, but a lot of plastic surgeons are worried about it because the skin tissue is so thin. That's good. That is different lighting, but you can still see a big difference in 6 days. This is a lady in Africa. She's in her 80s. She's the mother of a doctor who brought her the product. Look at the melon production. Melon production is the reason that she has all that black area in the upper hemisphere of her face, but it's all gone in 6 weeks. Okay, that was 4 weeks, by the way. This is 6 weeks. That was sun damage in Australia. Next. I love this guy. He's 94. Now look close at his before picture. Look at the pock marks, the uneven skin. It honestly, it looks really, really bad. But he's 94, so who cares, right? He cared. Here, go back. Let's go back one second. Now, what he said, what I like the most after 8 months of swishing and spraying, more than the appearance, he said, I feel like the guy on the right instead of the guy on the left. And he said, that's what I love. Okay, a few more. Here's one from Hungary. She is 87. She sprayed 5 times a day. Look at what happened in Hungary. I mean, yes, people all over the world. By the way, we have hundreds of people in Hungary now. We have 2 diamonds, a double diamond and a single diamond in Hungary of all places right now. So yes, we are all over the world, and we're changing lives and blessing lives all over the world. Okay, come back. Okay, that's an 85-year-old man in Toronto, Canada. And that was after 40 days. So that's what we have. And like I said, it's not here. Let me get over here out of the sun, hopefully. It's not just better looking skin and younger looking skin. That's what we're doing in your body. And that's why we're critical. We're not asking anybody to sell the product. We're just asking that you share it with people you care about, and the rest will happen automatically. We had one lady in Omaha, Nebraska, or in Nebraska, not Omaha, share it with a woman in Canada. And 8 times the woman in Canada said, I'm not interested. On the 9th time, she said, okay. And today she has got Numi family members on every continent, thousands of people. Well, the person that recruited her now has thousands of people that she's impacted because she shared with one person. That's what I love about network marketing. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme. It's hard work and make money. Yes, we have a generous compensation plan, but what it really is, it's helping people all over the world one at a time. You change a person, you change a family. You change a family, you change generations. So you are important, even if you only tell one person. Usually I tell at least one person a day. They can be in a restaurant. I just go up and start talking to them, not about this. I just have conversation. Sean and I did that last night, and the lady has a real issue, and she started crying. And then we talked about the product, but we told her that she's not ready for the product yet. There's some other things that have to happen. But her husband, they came into the office today, and you would have thought we had given them a Rolls Royce. They were so grateful. And one person at a time. That's what we focus on. So Michael, back to you, bud.
Beautiful. Thank you, Steve. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this presentation for the first time, please know that you can go to Facebook and go to the official Facebook group run by the company. Anything else you see is basically a team website, but these ones are the actual company's one. If you join this, you can see some spectacular testimonials, before and after photographs, all live stream interviews. And we are live streaming right now this session on YouTube, which you can share literally seconds after we get on. If you want to join this group, you'll need to answer all the questions in order to do so. And I just want to thank Ronan for emceeing today. And Steve, what a great session. And we'll look forward to seeing you all next week. Just remember, we have a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we have events on every week in the USA. And let me hand you back to Steve.
Okay, all I want to say is we are a supplement. We are not a medicine. We don't treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose any illness. I used the C word today. We have nothing to do with preventing or curing cancer or any other disease. What we do is put more glutathione into your body. The glutathione does the magic of reducing oxidative stress. The magic of oxidative stress reduces accelerated aging, it reduces inflammation. It's not us. It's the way your body works. Oxidative stress creates accelerated aging and inflammation. Reduce oxidative stress, guess what happens? So we just need to give that disclaimer. Thank you, Michael.
Beautiful. So ladies and gentlemen, look forward to seeing